My focus is on homelessness and veterans. Primarily, I thought about my father and his buddy. His buddy eventually became my godfather. Both went through the same circumstances of being a veteran of World War II, and both men were alcoholics. However, as my father was a high functioning but physically abusive alcoholic, my godfather was a very gentle and kind man. But he was unable to keep a job because of his alcoholism. Even though he was married and had children, his wife worked to keep the family together while he wandered the streets asking for money, which he used to keep drinking. My father always used to say that the difference between him and his friend is that my father ate 3 meals a day, while his friend didn't eat a steady diet and just ate a lot of junk and donuts and cookies. So if you eat 3 balanced meals a day, you're not alcoholic. Uh, there's a lot of discussion about that, but he's passed on, so we don't have to have that discussion. Um, I often wondered about the men that I see living on the streets and how many of them are suffering from PTSD and traumatic brain injury, TBI. That was something that my godfather had. He had suffered like sound concussions because he worked in the infantry and there was the cannons, whatever it is, and he was doing that kind of stuff. So he had a lot of concussion issues. That's something they didn't realize back then. Um, while there are programs in place that offer support to reduce the number of homeless veterans, the numbers of homeless increase, even though they are on the decline, they're still people coming and becoming homeless, and the programs are overwhelmed. And the National Association of Social Workers core values connect the problem of homelessness and veterans and social work. And what spoke to me about the homeless vet is the sacrifices that so many young men and women give in service to a country that is unable or unwilling to reciprocate and give back to the vet. All veterans deserve whatever our country can do to help them to reclaim the dignity and self worth of being human. The Agency of Social Work is committed to advocate on their behalf to assist them in finding the resources that vets need to connect to regain their psychological well being, uh, reconnect with their families for the ongoing process of healing. While other populations also experience homelessness, a veteran is burdened with hardships associated with long separations from pre service support bases, their family and friends, the intense and stressful deployment training, and the guilt of most surviving from combat situations where they had uh, buddies and friends who did not. Um, It is TBI and wartime PTSD that unintentionally cuts them off from the support of family and friends on their return to civilian life. When a young service member returns to the civilian world and eventually separates from service, all of what the individual has experienced may be more than they are able to effectively cope with, and everyday life becomes a toxic situation. The psychological effects of PTSD and TBI can keep veterans from maintaining a steady job or sustaining personal relationships. The family of brothers that the homeless veteran established in the service as a support system no longer exists because of the logistics. Usually, uh, when someone leaves Colorado, once their service is ended, they send them back to Colorado. And a lot of these people connect, a lot of the veterans connect and they are from opposite sides of the country, and it just makes it hard, and they don't have that support of someone who's gone through the same thing that they have gone through, that they know they can talk to them and talk things out. Now they're back home and in a civilian world that doesn't understand, and they go back to friends who talk about how bad traffic is and how horrible it is to be in school, and they just can't relate to that, and they move away and they self-isolate um, because they just can't be a part of that world anymore. They don't see what their friends have to complain about. So it just kind of makes their isolation that much more. Um, the veteran that tries to acclimate back into civilian life is unable to relate to the civilian friends, and they are usually single, which exacerbates their homelessness because of the social isolation. And they are probably living below the federal poverty level, which can heighten the tendency to homelessness. Veterans also find themselves homeless because the lack of affordable housing, meager wages, depleted job markets, non-transitional job skills. For the grunts who just shoot, they can't transition to a job because there are not a lot of jobs out there to just shoot. And stressors brought on by multiple extended deployments. My intent to assist and advocate for homeless veterans by offering music therapy sponsored via community events. The event that I had uh, created was to be in the form of a community meal and artistic event. The future of this event would be an annual philanthropic enterprise, and the event would have its own Facebook page and generate hashtags to bring awareness of homelessness and veterans within the local community and the nation at large. While there is federal monies for various veterans groups, it's usually inadequate to supply the necessary funding to serve all the programs across the nation adequately, and most programs have reached their capacity. Community action groups can assist veterans groups in sharing support, opportunities, and resources in areas of employment, medical, and mental health care, as well as housing availability. The idea behind this event would benefit local programs assisting veterans experiencing homelessness. I would speak with national veterans organizations such as Operation Stand Down, whose mission, quote, to reintegrate displaced and at-risk veterans and their families back into the community to sustain independent living, restoring their dignity, and promoting community awareness, end quote. And to initiate a dialogue to keep an open relationship with organizations such as these to garner support of an annual event. I would have them on the Facebook and Instagram pages as links, so people who come upon each of the social medias, they're able to see exactly what these organizations do, and there'll be other links to show them statistics and to let them know the circumstances surrounding homelessness and veterans, to have little either videos or just stories of veterans who have gone through and how they feel, not just, um, college papers, but their actual speech and just how they feel about coming back and how they felt trying to make it back into the civilian world, and where they feel that they have failed, or that they actually experienced situations where they were set up to fail. So I would hope that the social media pages would carry their stories, and people would come to understand exactly why the homeless vet is homeless. Um, I would hope to enlist volunteer services from licensed music therapy counselors, substance abuse counselors, community outreach staff, VA social workers, and physicians, all who may have some experience playing a guitar or not, just to be there at the event to encourage others to talk, start a dialogue. Um, they would play during the event, and they would have guitars, other guitars, extra guitars as well, to invite anyone who would like to play a guitar to join in and just be a part of the event. It's an interactive event of sorts. I would hope to also enlist a group of veterans in any one of the VA programs, uh, by talking with the social worker from the VA, and give them the details so they can speak to their clients and see if there's anyone who would like to participate. Um, There will be a music portion and a photo voice display at the event. So those veterans who are willing to be a part of the event will be given a camera and they can create displays showing um, homelessness, how seeing it through their eyes. And the plan would be also with these displays that are there previous to the event to invite local artists to pair with a set of displays, and the local artists will provide a complimentary piece to the Veterans Photo Voice assemblage. The works pairing would then be sold to the patrons of the event. So there would be um, I either a auction or just an outright sale. We'd have to discuss exactly which would work best. I'm thinking just an outright sale to set up the pair with a pricing amount, and all proceeds, to make it clear throughout the whole event, signs here and there that any and all proceeds will go directly to local programs assisting veterans to move out of homelessness. So the photo voice will also be, because it wouldn't be just a few, we try to get as many as we could. Um, it would be a bridge with the community to understand the circumstances surrounding the homeless veteran and how the veteran feels being a part of the community. And while it seems that homelessness is pervading the country, the numbers of homelessness among veterans continues to decline. It went down 2.1% in 2019. It would be nicer if it went down a lot more, but it is moving down, and it is in part due to the targeted and planned interventions on behalf of homeless veterans from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Um, and then there is an elimination. I mean, homeless veterans, it seems like there's a lot of homelessness out there. We see it all the time along the highways, and when we go downtown or even in our local suburbs, we can see people there. But there have been 3 states in this country who have totally eliminated, eradicated uh, homelessness for veterans. And this is Connecticut, Delaware, and Virginia. Um, there would also be links to what these 3 states have done to eliminate homelessness, which would in the process, bring the community aware of what they might be able to do to help eradicate homelessness amongst veterans. So the social media would be very helpful in disseminating that type of information. You know, there'll be links, there will be hashtags, links with the other organizations such as Stand Down, and just to give the community a sense of being able to work with organizations to eliminate homelessness. Now, the numbers show that homelessness is not an insoluble problem. Um, there are robust federal resources coupled with strong local leadership, as in these events, and talented nonprofit agencies to partner and reduce the number of veterans sleeping on the streets and in shelters. The only challenge to addressing this issue is the willingness of individuals to involve themselves and act. And I would hope with the event that they would have enough information that they would feel at ease with the veterans that were going to be there at the event, that they can initiate conversation and talk to a veteran who has experienced homelessness and understand that this child is no different than any other child that they may speak with. Um, and at my age, I call everyone a child. Um, there is a commitment to serving those that sacrifice a portion of their lives to the country that should reciprocate in kind. And to keep someone's child out of harm's way and to protect their right to a secure, fulfilled, and peaceful existence should be at the forefront of every citizen's duty to family and community. And it does take a village to raise a child, and these veterans are someone's child. Thank you very much.